All right, beautiful morning.
There it is.
So you guys are on the Dumoine outing.
Road Trail,
Yeah.
also called the Song.
And what are your plans today?
We're attending the celebration that Wally Schaber has organized.
Okay, for the Tote Trail. Yeah, excellent.
We're special guests because we hiked it last year.
Excellent. And I heard you wrote up a story, right?
Yeah,
excellent.
And if you check
Wonderful.
out the main cabin, you're going to see the newspaper.
Okay, we'll
With
check
all of
that
our
out for
smiling
sure.
faces.
Yeah.
So they didn't tell us they were doing that. That was a surprise.
That was
very,
good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for making the long, rocky road trek into our new visitor center here. My name's Wally Schaber, and what we're celebrating today is the history of the Dumoine River and the future of the Dumoine River. For many, many of you that I see here today, the Dumoine means a lot. It means passion, it means beauty, it means history, it means adventure, it means, I won't say tragedy if you tip, but it can lead to some challenges. But I've been experiencing and enjoying the Dumoine River for 50 years, and a group of like-minded people decided 5 years ago that we'd like to do something significant to preserve the history of the Dumoine River. We formed a group called Friends of the Dumoine, and the first thing we did was clean up the campsites and put little outhouses on them called thunder boxes. But that project only took a year, and we decided what could we do next that would be really significant and long-lasting. And we had a discussion with Zec Des Moines, and we began clearing an old tote road, which is a road that was used by sleigh drivers and lumberjacks and forest rangers to come up to the different lumber camps in the Des Moines Valley. Now, the lumber camps required a huge amount of supplies to keep them going, so the lumber companies, one of the first things they did was build a tote road. That's a road that sleighs and wagons could drive up and carry the supplies into the lumber camps. We knew the tote road existed because it was built in 1840 and was used until 1960. And we knew it existed, we had seen parts of it, but we didn't know how exciting it really would be to clear this trail and turn it into a hiking trail. And what we've done in 5 years is create a really significant historical and recreational experience that we hope will blossom for years and years to come. I'd like to first begin by thanking the key volunteers that made this happen. There are several volunteers, but if you see a group of fellows and ladies with this t-shirt on, it means that they've put about 1,000 hours into, over the last 5 years, into creating this project. And I'd really like to thank them for their support. It's been amazing. But it's also amazing and also very inspirational that you come up to me, all of you, and teach me another story about the Des Moines. The family is here that built this original cabin in the 1980s. And that's a spectacular story because we didn't completely know how that came to be. Other people used to live in Rowantown, the lumber and sawmill camp just upriver here, and they've come and explained what history was like when they lived here. Other people were hunters, trappers, fishers, Des Moines Club members. We just get countless people stopping in here, and they all share the same passion about the Des Moines, no matter how they like to enjoy the valley. So we feel that this cabin, this history, this collection will end up being not only something important for new people to enjoy, it's a way to bond many generations in the history of the Des Moines Valley. So thank you for being here and helping us celebrate this. The format today is we have a few people that are just going to say a few words. Then we're going to invite you, anybody that wants to go with one of the guides down the hiking trail to do the short 2-kilometer loop, which we call the original portage. And we hope that many of you will enjoy that. And if you want to do a little bit of a longer hike, we'll have a group that might want to do that. And then you can come back here and there'll be refreshments and socializing, and we can end the day with sharing those stories that I just mentioned. I also wanted to direct your attention to the fantastic display of models that Dan Charbonneau has created about the logging industry. It's really hard to understand how some of these machines actually work, but when you look at Dan's perfect models of them and he explains them to you, it really comes alive. And you have to imagine the full version of those rollers that created the roads, and the different sleighs and pointer boats and everything that was used to open up this territory. And this is a great starting point with Dan's models. Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge that we're on unceded Algonquin territory, and I'm very, very pleased and honored to have Chief Lisa Robinson here to say a few words on behalf of Wolf Lake First Nation.
Thank you. Does everybody like Johnny Cash? No.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, you're right. Okay, so Kwe, Lisa Nadijnakaz, Mong Dodem, Maigin Sagagan Nadojaba. So I just greeted you in our traditional way of doing so. And I'd like to say, Kwe Kikina, welcome everyone, bienvenue à tous. Vijashin, welcome, bienvenue to our territory, the Algonquin territory of Wolf Lake. And I'm just so happy to be here today. And before I start my comments though, I'd really like to acknowledge, the land which we are upon today, the Aki and the water, the Nibi that surrounds us, that we're here for so importantly. And more in particular, the lower Dumoine, Akona Wazi Sibi, the lower Dumoine. So I'd like to acknowledge that. And I'd also like to acknowledge all of our ancestors, because it was their strength and their perseverance and all their hard work that we're still here today as the people of Wolf Lake, and all of us as well, all of our ancestors. And in particular, I'd like to acknowledge one ancestor that, was very popular here and well known and throughout, and that's Paul Chevalier and his wife Susan Hudson that lived here at Rapid des Joyaux. And they are ancestors of the people of Wolf Lake and Temiskaming First Nation. So I just wanted to share that piece of history as well too. And as a chief, he has a long lineage to Chief Amiam Pakwakona, who fought in the Battle of 1812 along with our allies at that time. So I just wanted to share a bit of that history, because this area is so rich in history, and I'm really happy with the work that's been done and everything that has happened here. So I'm happy to see each and every one of you here today, and to be able to be here and the work, and to be able to experience all what has been done with the Friends of the Dumoine River and the opening of the Tote Trail system today. It's very clear that a lot of hard work has gone into this. To be here on the ground, to prepare the campsites, the trails, and a lot of work that has happened behind the scenes. Learning, doing the research, and learning all that history that's in this area. And Wally, I really do commend your efforts on that and all the work that you've done in that area. Miigwech. Because you see, it's those partnerships that really make something like this come to life. And the Des Moines watershed itself is very much part of the core territory, an Aboriginal title territory of the people of Wolf Lake. And we are descended directly through the Des Moines Band, further on up, and down here, the lower Des Moines and the upper Des Moines, and then eventually into Grassy Lake, Watson, Wolf Lake, and then over to Hunters Point, and then out into Kipwa. And that's the bit of the story of our history of Wolf Lake. So very much does start here, our story in the Des Moines. Oh goodness, all right. So our ancestors, you know, have used and occupied this territory since time immemorial, since the arrival of the Europeans. And this river was one of the very important parts of that connectivity, of connecting our people, our hunting grounds, the places where our people lived, to the Gitchisibi, to the Ottawa River, which we as Algonquin, you know, identify ourselves as Anishinaabe o Mamawini, or the people of the Gitchisibi, the Ottawa River. So it was the highway. You know, today we have these roads throughout the territory, but I still think, you know, the best highways, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, are those waterways throughout our territory. Those are the best highways. So since those days in our territory, our community and our territory have been impacted, you know, through the lumbering era, the timber trade, the influx of settlers coming into the region, and the dispossession. But we have remained here, and we still continue to use and occupy our land and our territory. So more recently, we've been working together and taking steps to make sure that we have our rightful place. And that means, you know, taking our traditional role and sharing in that authority and responsibility of our territory. And part of that is sharing our history and making sure that it's reflected in everything that goes on throughout our territory and around us. But in practical terms, what that means is working with our neighbors and developing those cooperative partnerships and relationships that help to acknowledge our role and our special relationship with the land and the water. And that is what makes this project so special. You know, I really want to acknowledge Wally and Jean-Luc Fournier, you know, for their commitment to work with us as the people of Wolf Lake. You know, they reached out to us early on initially, and they worked very cooperatively with our community and with our research team at the Algonquin Nation Secretariat. And, you know, that was a really, really good partnership that was established in that relationship. And it's not everybody that makes those efforts to come into our community, to sit with our staff and our community members and to really listen and learn, you know, from our perspective. So I do commend you, Chimigwich, for that, both of you, Jean-Luc and Wally. As you can see, you know, the results of this cooperation and collaboration in the naming and along the trail system, you know, in our language, our Anishinaabe-Moan, and also in terms of developing, you know, all of the information that's being shared in some of the interpretive panels that you see and displaying. So to share that information and to really make that experience that much more connected to the land and the water. So those are some of the things that have happened behind the scenes on the Tote Road project. And that work was definitely done to ensure that our community had a proper role in the development of this. So it's a good example of what can be done when there is a willingness to acknowledge our role and our relationship to the land and the water. And I look forward to future partnerships and collaborations. Chimigwich.
Well, thank you very much. Part of the fun for me is that people find my email and out of the blue they send me a little piece of history that just makes everything start to come together again. And one old guide from a camp called Camp Keewaydin sent me a photograph of this poster that he saw on a very early canoe trip in Kippawa, and it's one of the only signs I've ever seen in the 3 official languages. So I was very pleased to produce this as a thank you gift, and I look forward to more collaboration. Take that. Lisa has also agreed to go down the river tomorrow with us. Yes. I don't know if you've asked the elders what the experience is like, but you're in for a good ride, I guarantee it.
I'm pretty quiet.
We have produced history panels at 4 of the most interesting sites along the river, and I really encourage you to go down to Robinson Lake to look at the one there, because on the Robinson Lake panel we talk about all the families that used to live in Robinson Lake, all the Dumoine band families, and we have a picture of Paul Chevalier there. So if you really want to discover what we're talking about here and how much research has gone into this, and Paul is wearing the 1812 medal that his grandfather was awarded for participating in the War of 1812. So history just keeps on unfolding as we discover it. It's really exciting. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
So the levels of administration in this territory are very complicated. We're standing in Temiskaming County, but if we were standing on the other side of the bridge, we'd be standing in Pontiac County. And we have as an objective to create something that also benefits the community of Rapide d'Ouachem. And we hope that by creating a tourism attraction, there will be more tourist dollars spent in this area. So we have had, most of those dollars will be spent in Pontiac County, even though the project is located in Temiskaming County. And we've had great cooperation from the MRC in Pontiac to get us to this point. I'd just like to add